Welcome to Today's Homeowner with Danny Lipford. Expert advice on improving your home from the pages of Today's Homeowner magazine and professional remodeler Danny Lipford.
A few days ago, this was a functioning kitchen. Actually, a very nice kitchen, but the homeowners didn't like the size or the style. Now, by removing the wall between the dining room and the kitchen, we've enlarged the area considerably. You know, kitchen remodeling is the most popular home improvement project there is, and on this week's show, I'll give you some great tips on how to redesign a kitchen like this, also how to build and install a nice kitchen island, some of the components we're installing in this kitchen that'll make it a lot more appealing for the homeowners, and a visit to a cabinet shop where the cabinets are being constructed that'll be installed in just a few days. We've got a great show for you, especially if you're thinking of doing some kitchen remodeling around your house. Stay with us here on Today's Homeowner.
Danny, this is one of the cabinets we were talking about earlier.
Okay, great. We're here at the cabinet shop of George Raines, who's taking care of all of our cabinetry work here on this kitchen remodeling project. George, I'll have to say this is one of the largest island cabinets I've ever seen.
Danny, it is rather large, but we try to build them in one piece. If there's any way possible to get them in the house, it makes really a much stronger cabinet and a better looking unit.
You know, this is a real common request from the homeowner to have an island in the kitchen anytime they can, but particularly one that has an overhang on it for a little bit of an eating area. And I know you're planning on putting an overhang on this. How will that work?
Yes, Danny. Well, we're going to have, of course, your cabinet's 2 foot deep, and we'll have an extra 1 foot on the back side and the end, which will give us a actual 3 foot by 11 foot on this particular island of countertop and eating surface.
When you have an overhang like that, what about any kind of support? Is it necessary to put any type of support under it?
We're going to have, less than a 12-inch overhang. Anything over 12-inch overhang, yes.
Okay. Now, I know another common request on any type of bar eating area like this is to have it step up a little bit, usually 6 inches or so. That's done real commonly too, isn't it?
Yes, it is. That is usually done to try to hide a working area where they may be looking into another room.
Okay, good. Now, people always talk about having solid wood cabinets. They always want solid wood cabinets, but it's really not practical to do it that way.
No, it's really not. Probably the solid wood really should be the front of the cabinet, the toe kick area. The other construction parts, plywood is great. Partitions, the bottoms of the cabinets, the back of the cabinets, ends of the cabinets.
Okay. Well, I know cabinets get a lot of abuse, especially areas like this. How do you handle the joining of these type of areas in using the solid wood?
Well, Danny, that's a good point. What we do here is a dowel face frame construction. The dowel, spiral dowel pins, glue in the holes, glue there. They're pushed in, clamped, and then shot from behind and set to dry.
Well, that would be strong. I could tell that'd make a big difference. Other quality points that a homeowner would look for when they're looking for cabinets. Naturally, this is good to know. It's hard to see, but what are some of the other things that you look for in cabinets?
Looking for it, one of them would be drawer guides. The type of drawer guide I would recommend would be the side mount ball bearing epoxy coated drawer guide. Okay.
Well, now that's one thing that's so aggravating, to have a set of cabinets that the drawers don't work or they slip off the track, that kind of thing. The ball bearing type units like that work real well, huh?
Oh, they work real well. Most of them now have double sure locks on each side.
Okay, good. What about hinges? I know that's a big point.
Hinges are important. Spring-loaded self-closing is a very good hinge to make sure that is on the cabinet.
Okay. Now, cabinets are a real major investment, and you really want to make sure that the outside of them really hold up and are durable. How do you know when you have a good finish on the outside?
The finish is very important. We pride in our finish work. The coats of finish that we use for, say, a stained cabinet would be 3 coats of sanding sealer, that's lacquer sanding sealer, and then 3 coats of the lacquer top coat finish.
So you really can't get a finish just by putting a stain coat and just a couple clear coats on top. It's just not going to get that good type of cabinet finish.
No, not at all. The finish of it, it should not have a hungry look, but a good mill thickness of finish on it, and it should be slick, like a piece of glass to your hand as you feel it.
Okay, great. Well, I look forward to seeing these cabinets in and stay with us. And after the simple solution segment, we'll continue on this kitchen remodeling project here on Today's Homeowner.
Get ready to review your fix-it list as Danny and home repair pro Alan Lyle show you this week's simple solution.
Well, Alan, I see you're dealing with one of those real common problems people have with their doors and hinges.
That's right, it's a strip screw. In fact, that's what I was just making sure that's what it was. Kept turning. The problem with this, watch this, Danny. There's the door. It will not stay against the jamb. There are actually a couple of ways that you can fix this.
I know one is just simply using a longer screw that'll tie the hinge back into the pack stud, but I understand you have another solution there.
Yeah, in fact, see, a lot of people may not have that longer screw, but one thing they probably do have in their kitchen cupboard, just common toothpicks. You can fix this door. Let me show you how.
Okay.
And Danny, we can do this without even taking the door off the hinge, or off of the case itself. Pull one out, and the other is going to pop right out, you see.
Okay.
All right, you hang on to the door, and if you would, we're going to prop that up with just a flat bar.
Okay.
Not on the edge. Go ahead, I've got it here.
Does that line up
back
pretty
me
well?
up a little bit. Back me up just a bit.
Okay.
All right. Now we'll move that out of the way. Here's how we're going to do it. There's the screw hole right there. We're going to take a toothpick, push it right in. Now, it may be that there's a lot that needs to be taken care of, so you can put one in, break it off, put another side in, or just double it in half right there, push two in, just like that. That's all you need to do, Danny, because what's going to happen when I put this screw back in, if we can back that up a little bit more, when I put it back in, the wood from the toothpick is going to act basically as the bonding agent between the screw and the screw hole. Watch this.
Okay.
You hear that? It just snagged right up, which means
Yeah, that is a lot
real
tighter.
tight. Now we're going to go back and do that in every hole. It's going to tighten that door right up.
Good, good. Well, that might be the perfect solution to a problem you may be currently having with any door in your house. Give it a try. Well, it's been about a week since we've been on this kitchen remodeling project, and here to get us up to date is Bob Karen, our job superintendent. Well, Bob, I know it took a while to get the final paint colors, but looks like you finally got them.
Yeah, Danny, this is one of the last decisions to be made, but it's a long process for a homeowner to make all the decisions in the kitchen remodeling.
Well, you know, in planning for a kitchen remodeling, probably more so than any other remodeling project that we do, you really have to make some decisions early so that once the project starts, it moves along real well.
That's right, and the basic design of the kitchen is the most important part, and then everything kind of leads off of that.
Well, I know one of the things that the homeowner was concerned with here is good, adequate clearance between the cabinets, particularly a situation like this where you have a stove and you need enough room to allow that lid to come down.
That's right, our homeowner was real concerned that once she opened the oven that she'd have plenty of room to move through here. And as you can see, we had the exact space of the oven that she's picked out.
Okay, and then of course over here the proximity of the dishwasher is important, and again enough room for it to open up.
That's right, it's right next to the sink, nice and convenient, plus we have plenty of space between the island.
Okay, and refrigerator right beside it.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. And of course some of the accessories that went in here, I always like the little gadgets that you're able to put in cabinets, and here's a good saving, space saver here with having what we call a half Susan that'll allow access and storage back in this corner. But this is one I really like to put in kitchens, the little roll-out tray. Tell us about that.
Well, Danny, that just gives you more space inside your cabinets. Most people, put like cleaning supplies under the sink, and it really gets, you can see everything you have in the back of the cabinet when you pull it out.
Yeah, I noticed the cabinet man cut a little half circle there to allow it to slip right under that P-trap.
That's right. These pull-outs and a lot of drawer guides or the specialty items inside the cabinets are nice, but they do add a lot of expense to the cost of the kitchen.
Yeah, incrementally they're not that expensive per gadget, say maybe $80 to $100 for this, but if you put 10 or 12 of those in a kitchen, it can get expensive.
That's right. They really add up, and they can add to your budget quite a bit.
Now here's a nice one too, the little space saver tilt out there, perfect for, I guess, scouring pad or a sponge.
That's right. Normally, you would just attach a false front on the front of the sink here because there's no room behind it, but this adds you a little more space.
Okay. Well, I noticed early in the project here behind us, the trench that was established by the electrician. I know the homeowner wanted to have a electrical outlet out on the island, but I understand it's also a code.
That's right, Danny. In our area, you have to have a plug-in on the island, if it's a separate cabinet. And this line here allows us to have 2 plugs, one on each side.
Okay, all right. You know, another thing that homeowners have a little trouble deciding on is lighting, because there's so many different ways of lighting a kitchen, and this one's fairly standard. I know that you have some task lighting underneath here.
That's right. These are going to be the under counter mount lights. They're a real narrow profile, and they kind of hide up behind the front of the cabinet.
Okay, it's always good to have like the recess there directed directly over the sink instead of behind the person. That shines right down in there.
That's right. The recess pretty much gives you an overall light for the whole kitchen.
Okay, and what are we going to do here? I notice these are not recessed, which many times they are, but I guess we're going to have some kind of hanging fixture.
Yes, Danny, these are going to be a hanging halogen type fixture. It's kind of a small decorative fixture that really adds a lot of light, and it does look nice.
Okay. Well, what are some of the other things taking place? I know the trim carpenters are on the job in the process of, I guess, finishing up the crown molding.
That's right. We're going to wrap the crown molding all around the cabinets, put the door casings and window casings, baseboards, and things like that on.
Okay, and then I guess time to turn the paint colors over.
That's right. The painter will take them a few days to get everything painted out, and then we'll be ready for our split brick floors.
Okay. Well, I'm anxious to show our viewers the split brick floor process. It's kind of unique in how we use some of the old bricks to make such a nice looking floor. And after our best new product segment, we'll show you the split bricks going in. Stay with us.
It's time to check out the Home Center for this week's best new product with Danny and today's Homeowner Magazine's editor-in-chief, Paul Spring.
Circular saws have been around for a long, long time, but every year they're making changes to make them better. Paul, tell us about the Black & Decker Woodhawk.
Well, it's a terrific innovation on this saw. As you can see, there's a plastic window right here, and it allows you to look right down where the blade is cutting the material instead of having to guess where the saw is going by looking out beyond the nose of the shoe, Danny.
It's also got some good markings here on the front.
Those are terrific because they give you a very clear indication whether you're cutting straight or with an angle where the saw is going out front. Often with other saws, it's just a little notch in the shoe.
You know, the Woodhawk also has a great feel to it. It's lightweight. They've got this great handle here to really make it safer in operating the saw.
Well, that's the key, as you know, Danny, to cutting. If you know where all 10 of your fingers are, then you're probably safe. This saw also has a number of features that just make it a good overall saw for a homeowner. For instance, the shoe on the saw is very wide. This gives you a lot of stability in any kind of cutting you're doing. There's also a way to direct the sawdust away from the work or collect it, and a very comfortable guard lift here that allows you to make pocket cuts and get that guard out of the way when you need it.
Good. Well, many of these changes that are made on circular saws are made to make it safer to use, but don't forget your safety glasses. Paul, what about cost on this?
This is under $70, Danny, and it includes a case that's almost indestructible that goes with it.
Well, this may be just the circular saw you need around your house. As I mentioned earlier, the homeowners decided on a split brick floor to be installed in a remodeled kitchen. Here to talk with us about it is Chris Stanley. Now, Chris, tell our viewers a little bit about what is a split brick.
Well, this is in Old Chicago. It's a multicolored brick. It was solid, and we take them and we slice them.
Okay, I understand you use a diamond tip blade to cut them real uniform like this with 1/2 inch thickness. You know, this is really neat, the color of the different ones. That would just about go with any decor at all.
Yes, sir. You know, you can decorate and change it up through the years, and it'll always work.
Yeah, it looks real good. Now, as far as installation, I guess it's much like installing ceramic tile.
Almost identical. There's a lot of things that are different in the characteristics of the brick. You know, dealing with the sealers and the multi-purpose glue and, you know, the regular thin set, they all work the same.
Okay, well, I noticed that Shane's in the process of installing some of the bricks now. I guess that's thin set he's using there with a notch trowel.
Yes, sir. He's pulling out a 1/4 inch notch of multi-purpose thin set just to make sure it's good and stuck.
Right.
When it's in there, and he's spacing them out in a grid because all the bricks are different sizes, lengths, and you've got to find a variable, a medium,
Okay.
and to line them up.
And of course, you just have to kind of hit a happy medium in there because of the bricks having chipped corners and some good character flaws in it like that in order to get a good pattern.
Yes, sir. They're really regular, but you can find a spot where they look just right.
Okay, all right. Well, talk about patterns with us there. Now, what we're seeing there is probably the most common, the basket weave pattern. I know another pattern, what is a running bond. Show us a little bit about what a standard running bond is.
All right, this is common. A lot of people really like this one too. And it goes with just about any room. You know, the way that it's laid out is the way you first see it.
Okay,
first
all right.
appearance.
Now, one that's a little more complicated, and naturally, along with complications, is a little more expense, is a herringbone pattern. Try to show us what that would look like.
All right. This would be a herringbone on a 45, which is real attractive.
Yeah, I've seen that before. That looks real good. I know we did a kitchen a few years ago that were similar to this, and you were able to install an actual border around it like this. Now, that takes a lot of time when you're coming back in having to cut all the little pieces like that.
Yes, sir. It takes about a third more time, a third more materials, and a lot more headache.
Okay, all right. As far as cutting this, what, use a regular wet saw for that?
Yes, sir. We use a Target wet saw.
Well, now, looking back at the flooring that we have here, we've already installed these bricks, and I guess what, you're waiting for these to set up in order to apply the grout?
Yes, sir. We're going to let them wait till tomorrow morning after they've cured overnight and it's all dry. And then we're going to smear out a lot of grout, which is basically sand, cement, and mortar. We're going to scrape it clean and then sponge it down.
Okay, all right. Now, the one thing that's a little different about split bricks than you would have on ceramic, you have to apply a urethane finish on it after everything's good and dry. There's a waiting period on that, and what, it's common for what,
30 days.
30 days before you actually apply that. Now, many homeowners will ask, can you walk on it during that time?
Yes, it's going to be in there. It's going to be tough.
Okay.
The only things you're looking out for are things like oils, real hard dirts,
Anything
water.
like grape juice that'll stain it and that type of
Very
thing. 'Cause you
bad.
want to keep it good and dry. And then as far as that process of sealing, what, it's putting one coat on every morning for 3 mornings, basically?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good, good. Well, it won't be long and this kitchen will be completely finished, and we'll show you the finished product when we come back after this Around the Yard segment. Stay with us.
Now for a bit of news from the great outdoors as Danny takes a look around the yard.
Not only am I a remodeler, I'm also a homeowner, and you may have a yard like mine that needs a little help. Well, there's a couple alternatives. One, you can fertilize it and nurse it along until it grows, or you can go with the instant line by installing sod. Now, proper ground preparation is a necessity before you install anything like sod, and a rototiller is a perfect machine to aerate the soil and to remove any of the existing vegetation. Then carefully rake and grade the area. Now, it's a good tip to dig a slight trough anywhere the sod may touch a driveway or sidewalk to allow the sod to sit down closer to the same level so that mowing will be very, very easy. Also, when you're actually placing the sod, stagger the joints real well and place it very tightly together. This will help the moisture to be retained and help it to grow together a lot better. And finally, make sure your new lawn gets plenty of water.